Type this in your browser right now, the Pod Show by Beat Fact Music. We are on Apple, we are on Spotify, and on YouTube. Type in Beat Fact Music and hit the subscribe button. It's time. Trust me, you got everything you need to know about all the shows that are provided by Beat Fact Music. Everything is right there, right in your fingertips. Just hit the subscribe button or whatever you do on Spotify or whatever you do on Apple. It's time. Divisional playoff rounds. Let's get this going. Let's get it right now. No, I'm not doing any spreads. I'm not doing any of that because the spreads could change within the next 48 hours. It could change in an hour. It could change. It could change. I'm not about that. I'm just going to give a quick analysis and pick the winners. So let's going to start. We are going to start with Detroit versus Washington. Of course, Washington having this magical year. Jaden Daniels having a C.J. Stroud last year type of moment, playing great football. Dan Quinn, of course, doing what he's doing. Of course, he has a competent offensive coordinator. We're not going to talk about the last one he had when he was a coach. And Washington going into a hostile environment in Detroit. Detroit, you know the story, the growth. 2 years before, they couldn't get into the playoffs because of mathematics, but they eliminated Green Bay the last game of the year. Last year, losing to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game, which they should have won. I actually picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year. And now this year, the journey begins again. Just like Buffalo, they got to get it done. Do you smell a Detroit-Buffalo Super Bowl? Maybe. Could be a Detroit-Baltimore Super Bowl. Maybe. Detroit-KC Super Bowl. Maybe. Who knows? But I got Detroit beating Washington. It's going to be a good game. But I think Washington's season ends this weekend, and they'll get better. And potentially in the next year or so become the guys in the NFC East, because the other team I'm going to talk about is the NFC East champions, the dysfunctional Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what's going on there. Guys reading books on the sideline, coaches screaming at each other, players don't like each other. In spite of all of that, they still win. And they're going to win this Sunday against the Rams. I'm sorry about the LA story, but they're going to win those games. They're not going to win those games. They're going to win that game. So I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to put that game to rest and move on. The Jalen Hurts stuff, all that other stuff, I don't have time for that. They have to figure it out. This is an opportunity to get it done. This is the time to get it done. Now, the next game here, of course, Kansas City and Houston. A lot of people are sniffing Houston. You know, is it finally the end for KC? I say no. You want to beat the Giant, you got to beat them. You can't just try to squeak by. And Houston needs to do what they did against the Chargers to beat this other AFC South team. AFC West. They beat the AFC West wildcard edition. Now they got to beat the AFC West champions and the reigning defending two-time Super Bowl champions to get to potentially the AFC championship game, whether they play in Buffalo or Baltimore, because they're not playing another home game. So can DeMeco Ryans do something on his end defensively? Can the offense do something? Can young CJ actually come out and say, you know what, man, this is my defining moment in my career, stopping the machine known as the Kansas City Chiefs and putting a halt on their Super Bowl quest for this year, because it ain't going to be over for them. They'll re-up in the offseason regardless. We all know that already. So, but I got KC beating Houston. Fourth and final game, the main event. I don't care if you're a football fan or not, and if you're one of those fanboys and fanboys and fangirls who's still crying over your team not doing what they're supposed to do, boo-hoo for you. For me, I'm watching this game. Buffalo and Baltimore. Wow. In Buffalo. Two teams who have done what they're supposed to do all season long. All season long. Two MVP candidates, star-studded lights, live in Buffalo. Those fans in Buffalo are wild. If you've ever been to Buffalo, wow, you know the electricity in Buffalo. That stadium is ridiculous. Highmark, a.k.a. formerly known as Ralph Wilson Stadium. It might be a little old stadium in Orchard Park, folks, but it's electric when the noise goes up. So it's going to be a close one for me, but I'm going to go with the home team. Everybody has injuries on each side, so let's not talk about that as an excuse. I just think that Sean McDermott, this is his opportunity to get through one of his hurdles. Here is one right here. The potential 3-time MVP is coming into your building. Can you stop him? Can you neutralize him? Derrick Henry is coming to Buffalo. He's coming. I'm going to pick the Bills, but best believe if I see Derrick Henry doing what he's doing, what I'm going to say after all this is done, I told you guys, you got to stop that train. That train, he's not a regular stop. He ain't no TTC train that's always delayed, folks. This guy is a special freight train, express only. Derrick Express Henry, so stay away from him. You got to stop him. So I got the Bills, though. But this is going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a grind back and forth. A lot of running, a lot of crazy plays, a lot of things to watch. I believe we are finally going to get one good playoff game. We need one, folks. We didn't have any good playoff games last week. But before I sign off for today, my closing arguments on my Vikings season, because I'm not going to go again and talk about them, because I don't believe I'm talking on teams who don't make the playoffs. There's a reason why you didn't make the playoffs, and there's a reason why you didn't win your playoff game. My closing remarks on the Vikings season is very simple. J.J. McCarthy's the future. If he is your future, this is the time to get him ready. But I'm not going to sit here and shit on Sam Darnold, because he wasn't the only reason why they lost that game. Like I said in the podcast, sorry, still a little sick, folks. As I stated in the Pick 6 episode, and I'm going to say it again, Kevin O'Connell was absolutely outcoached by Sean McVay. Not just on the football field, but mentally also. Absolutely outcoached. That was the turning point of the game. It happened in week 8. I watched that game, and it happened again Monday night. So Kevin O'Connell, everybody's like, oh, well, Sam Darnold's got a lot to work on. I'm sure Sam Darnold's going to work on it. He has been highly regarded by most teams as a good guy, as a great quarterback. Not a great quarterback, but a good quarterback. I'm not here to shoot on Sam. The offensive line was pathetic. Minnesota GM, you know what to do. You better get that right. Offensive line. Kevin O'Connell, an F. Offensive line, an F. Sam Darnold, a D-. The Vikings defense, I'm going to give them a C+, because there was a couple of plays that they could have played. After that first drive, they calmed down with what was going on in that game. Brian Flores, Coach Flores, did the best he could. But how can you stay off all this, stay off a team like this, when your offensive coordinator / head coach keeps making bonehead moves and is being absolutely brutally outcoached? So that's my take on the Vikings. It's over for them. Kevin O'Connell, you better figure it out in the offseason before you try to go after anything else or do anything else, because that was pathetic. Two playoff games where you've had over 13 wins and you coughed it up. You did it against the Giants and you did it against the Rams. Go sit down and figure it out. I'm sorry. I love you, Coach, but you got to figure it out. You got to sit down and reassess yourself. You can't just go after, and with the media and all the crybabies on social media, you can't be going after players like that, man. It's a tough game. Sam was absolutely brutalized in that game. And the offensive line was disgusting. It was the worst. And then to finish off here, with the Dallas situation, what Jerry did to Mike McCarthy was absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. You don't want him, let him go. You give him his few more days of pay and let him roll out. Chicago, New Orleans, a couple of college teams, they want him. And it was well documented and well reported. It wasn't just a myth, it's a fact. It's a spoiler, as Paul Heyman would say it. So let him go do what he needs to do. You want to hold on to him. And as a brethren of mine said, he might as well coach. And he's speaking of Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, just take over the team, put on the headsets, and coach the team until you decide that you don't want to do this anymore. Because anybody that comes in there, it's just going to be a mess. Dion don't care about coaching there. Dion is going to work with the youth, because with the youth, they listen. Can you imagine these grown-ass men trying to disrespect Deion Sanders on the sideline in the NFL? Whether it's in Dallas or anywhere else, that Dion is not the guy to deal with. I don't think Dion is going to deal with Dallas. So we got to stop this Dion rumors. Folks, I'm signing off. Peace.